Hello everybody and welcome to another video on the physics channel. My name's Geekman and today we're going to be talking all about the Green Goliath, the man who you would not want to make angry. Yes, you've guessed it, we're talking all about the Incredible Hulk. So sit back, relax and keep calm. This is superheroes, physically speaking. Bruce Banner, also known as the Incredible Hulk, is one of the most famous superheroes of all time. He's appeared in multiple movies, part of the MCU, most recently in Marvel's Avengers Age of Ultron, where he's played by Mark Ruffalo, but he's also been portrayed by Edward Norton and Eric Bana in the past. Bruce Banner had a difficult childhood. Abused by his alcoholic and very often drunk father, he created for himself an imaginary friend called the Hulk with theoretical immeasurable strength in his own mind, which gave him an ability to feel strong and to hide the bad feelings, no matter how weak he was compared to his father. This, along with the abuse, led him to develop dissociative identity disorder, mental illness or split personality disorder. Many years later, he became a doctor and worked for the government on a secret weapons project, although he wasn't informed at the time that it would be a weapons project. He believed that the government would be using his science for good, when in fact they were using it to develop a gamma bomb. On the critical point of testing, a young man drove his car straight out into the test zone, and Bruce ordered his assistant to stop the test so he could go out to save the boy. However, his assistant was actually a Soviet spy and detonated the bomb anyway, whilst Bruce was exposed to its radioactive effects. For the first time in many years, Bruce unlocked the Hulk once more, it now taking on an impressive form, aided by the gamma radiation now flooding his cells. Now we all know the story. Whenever Bruce gets angry, the Hulk comes out. The Hulk is incredibly strong. He once held a planet together simply by jumping in and holding on to the tectonic plates, one in each hand, and pulling them back together with his bare hands. The angrier he gets, the more powerful he gets, and the bigger and stronger he gets, to the point he reaches the title of World Breaker Hulk. And in a battle with another World Breaker, a single punch, each of them delivered to one another's fists, split a planet in two. But how strong can the Hulk get? Is there a limit to it? And how does he get bigger whenever he gets angrier? These are all questions I'm going to be answering over the next few minutes. So first off, how can the Hulk possibly increase in mass? We've all seen it in the movies. When the Hulk gets angry, he turns green and he gets bigger. He grows height-wise, his muscle mass increases vastly so that he can have a great deal of physical power. But how does that work? Surely this is breaking one of the most basic laws of physics, the conservation of matter and energy, that neither matter nor energy can be created or destroyed, only converted. That's an interesting one. What we are witnessing here looks like the Hulk simply expanding, growing bigger. What it looks like is matter being created, which we all know isn't actually possible. But we're making an assumption here. We're making an assumption that the matter is being created, that it's not coming from anywhere. Clearly he isn't absorbing any extra matter. He doesn't eat a vast amount all of a sudden before he turns into the Hulk. And from what we see, it doesn't look like he starts absorbing matter out of the ground. And in order for him to acquire a quantity of air large enough for him to grow that big, it would take him many hours to do a full transformation like that. And that's just assuming he's using the raw elements from the air. The actual elements he needs are in such low concentration in air, it could take weeks, months, or years for him to transform into the hulking rage monster we all know and love, simply by absorbing air and converting that into muscle mass and bones and other essential tissues and cells needed for him to grow like this. So if he's not absorbing matter from anywhere, how else could he possibly be gaining matter? As I said a moment ago, the most basic law of physics is the conservation of matter and energy. You cannot create or destroy matter or energy, only convert them. But you can convert one into the other. This happens all the time in the sun. Tiny bits of matter are converted into energy and emitted whenever protons smash into each other, forming neutrons, forming electrons, forming helium atoms from the hydrogen atoms inside the sun. This is happening so much all across the sun that it's producing all that light that's giving life to us. What if it happens the other way, though? Inside of his cells? A reaction like this isn't documented to have happened. We've never actually converted energy back into matter, but the most basic equation that almost everyone will recognize instantly for the link between the two is E equals mc squared. Energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. If you take a tiny amount of matter, you're timesing it by 299,792,458, and then timesing that by 299,792,458. That's a lot. From a tiny piece of matter, multiplied by the speed of light squared, that's a huge amount of energy. From a tiny particle of matter, you can produce a huge quantity of energy. That is how all the many tiny particles of matter being converted into energy all the time in the sun. They're so tiny, but there are a lot of them. There's billions upon trillions upon quadrillions upon pentillions, I'm going to stop there, of tiny particles getting converted into energy, but each becomes so much energy and there's so much of it that the sun is as hot and bright as it is. But it works the other way too. You're taking some energy and you're dividing it by 299,792,458, and then you're doing it again, dividing it by 299,792,458 to get quite a small amount of matter. In order to convert energy into a usable amount of matter, you need a lot of energy, such as the amount of energy released by a gamma radiation bomb, for instance. It's said often that the green hue that the Hulk's skin takes on isn't due to chlorophyll, like the leafy green of plants, but it is instead due to the gamma radiation, the fact that it almost infects his cells, so that when he gets angry they turn green. That would suggest that inside his cells there is a massive store of gamma radiation, of energy, that at will, or when he becomes angry, is converted into matter, producing more cells so that he can expand and get bigger and stronger. So, theoretically, this could happen. We really don't know at all how to convert energy back into matter, but we know it takes a tremendous amount of pressure and energy and heat to convert matter into energy. But theoretically, if we have some suspension of disbelief, we could theoretically allow the Hulk to gain matter as long as he's converting energy into matter. This doesn't necessarily have to be energy he's stored up from the initial gamma explosion. Back in my Superman video, I mentioned how Superman is constantly absorbing the sun's non-ionizing radiation. If you haven't seen that video, by the way, go check it out. Back to the Hulk though, the Hulk could be constantly absorbing this radiation, kind of like Superman, transforming it into the gamma wavelength needed, and then storing it inside of his cells, ready to get bigger and stronger whenever necessary. Theoretically, therefore, he could become unlimitlessly strong. There wouldn't necessarily be a cap on how much energy he could absorb, how hard he could punch, so long as there was enough non-ionizing radiation from a nearby star or other heat source for him to tap the energy off of. As long as he was near a star, he could unlimitlessly become powerful and destructive. And even if he wasn't near a star or another form of non-ionizing radiation production, or even ionizing radiation production, he could still use this energy he's stored up inside of his cells to increase his mass.